report in. I'm going to give a chair report in a moment. At that time, I'll ask everyone to, I'll ask the respective site representatives, the members of the committee, to introduce themselves. And we have 22 people here today, so we will not do complete introductions of everyone, but we're grateful for having such a nice group of people interested in our gardens. So with that, let's commence with the agenda. Approval of our meeting minutes from our prior meeting. So if everyone received that actually back in July. Teague, do you have those? Okay, thank you. Thank you. If you don't mind just scrolling down. And we'll take it.
Chris, can you just confirm that when we're voting on these types of things, that it's the advisory board members that are going to be voting?
Yes.
And we, right? Okay. Thank you.
Yes. So as Teague is scrolling down that, yes, remember that this is a meeting where only our advisory committee members, those are our site reps from the respective gardens, Main Street, Park, and Euclid. And we are the ones who will make particular votes. So with that, I'm sure that everybody had a chance to read these. And I appreciate Teague's just reminding us, you probably have it on your own computer. So do we have a motion to approve these minutes?
I motion to approve the minutes.
Kristen, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Susan. With that, is there any discussion? Is there any correction of any kind or any from the site reps? Okay, so without any further, then let's go ahead and do a vote of the site reps. Teague, do you want to call the attendance? I mean, do you want to go through? You want me to do it?
If you want to do it, I will
Okay.
keep track of who's doing what.
Okay, Susan? Aye. Susan raises her hand. Ellen?
I abstain.
You abstain? Okay. Kristen?
Aye.
Cordula? Leslie? Aye. Andy?
Aye.
Alicia?
Aye.
And I don't see anyone else. So Kaya? Okay. And Kaya indicates aye, and myself, aye. So we passed that unanimously of those attending. So we added in this third agenda item a new opportunity for whoever is the chair, in this case it's I, to give a quick report. And that can be an overview of what's been going on. That can be an update about our own committee. It can be whatever the chair feels necessary to convey. I'm going to make this short. I'd like, since we do have 22 participants this evening, it would be really nice for each of our site reps to introduce themselves and to indicate from which garden you are at. I apologize to our community that everyone will not have a moment to introduce themselves. That's a lot of people today. But if you could just site reps, let's start with Susan. Would you tell us where you garden and maybe your name and what you enjoy about this committee?
Hi, I'm Susan McCory. I'm on Main Street. I'm in plot 27, and I think gardening is essential to the planet, to the city, and to each of us individuals. And so I'm really happy to be part of the garden.
Kristen? Kristen, you have to unmute yourself.
I'm Kristen Michelle. I garden at Main Street, and gardening is essential to well-being. And so I'm very pleased to be part of this committee so I can do more for the gardens.
Kaya. Kaya, can you unmute yourself?
You're still muted, Kaya.
T, can you
find
do
it.
that? Okay, you got
There,
it.
oh, sorry, okay.
Sorry.
I was so all right? Yeah,
Yep.
I'll make it very quick. It's just wonderful to be around all these plant whisperers because I can really relate to plants. I'm Kaya and I'm a site rep at Euclid, over and out.
Cordula, Cordula, you need to unmute yourself.
Hi, Cordula. I'm on Main Street and the garden has kept me sane. So this is me sane.
Alan,
I'm Alan Toy on Park Drive North. And I don't know, I think it's kind of cool to grow almost 100 pounds of edibles in a little tiny garden like I have every year. So that's what keeps me going.
Leslie, Leslie, can you unmute yourself?
Sorry, I'm Leslie. I've
Oh.
been volunteering at the Ishihara Learning Garden. However, I've been sidelined with a few health issues. And so I just know that I'll be back one day and I'm looking forward to it.
Andy,
And I think there, just a minute.
that
I
was
think there
my
was,
error.
yeah,
That was
yeah,
my
okay.
error.
So Leslie is
So-
a volunteer. She is not a
Yes.
site rep. So Leslie Neal, I don't believe is here tonight.
Yeah, that was my error. Thank you very much. But thank you, Leslie. Andy,
I'm Andy Lieberman, site rep at Main Street, and I like getting up early in the morning and seeing the gardeners that I know over there at the garden.
Alicia,
So, hi, my name is Alicia. I'm a gardener at Main Street. I have always, well, not always, but I've loved to garden for about 20 years. And I became a site rep so that I could get a better idea what the behind the scenes workings were and see where I could help out. I just wanted to get more involved with the garden.
and we love having you here with us.
Thank you.
I'm Chris Gutierrez. I'm the chair. I've been at the Main Street Gardens for a number of years, and I am always excited to keep growing and eating out of the garden. So for all of us who are here today, 22 participants, it's a joy to see the variety of people here. We have a lot of volunteers from Ishihara. We also have some newcomers, I believe even some people who are helping us to set up the Marine Park community garden. We have others who are starting new projects for us, and you'll hear from each of them as we convey our understandings through our agendas. So with that, let's resume the agenda. And I'm just delighted to see so many of us here together. Teague, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and give us your update.
Okay, was that your report?
Yeah.
Yes, at this
Okay,
point, I'm just
super.
delighted to welcome everyone, and
Do-
we'll dive in differently the next time. Yes.
Did you see how I was spotlighting people? I picked that up a little bit ago and learned how to do it. First of all, welcome. Thank you, everybody. What a great turnout. There's a lot of stuff going on in the community garden world right now. It's been a very busy time. Let me just say this. We are back on Zoom. We did have a little blip when Drew Johnstone left our department, Office of Sustainability and Environment. So we have a new account. If something happens on here that I have not clicked one of the buttons under the admit thing, I apologize, but we'll do the best we possibly can here. So inspections, I got inspections tomorrow. It's been as usual. Sometimes it takes a little bit of a reminder for people to kind of get it going again. We had a large number of people give up their gardens at the end. We've had another one recently also give up their garden. So Margaret Ashkar is going to be releasing her garden. So, I think, just going through and reminding people about this and that, and really I'm going to be focusing on encouraging folks to be utilizing their land as much as possible. So, we didn't send out a reminder about inspections like we did last time. So we'll see how things go. But I gave out, I want to say 12 citations last month. So that's 10% of the gardeners receiving one, and try to be fair and consistent, as you all know. We do have a bunch of new gardeners that have come in and are going to probably keep coming in as we get those gardens kind of cleaned up and ready to go over at Main Street. As was requested after the last meeting, Alan, just wanted us to check about sending out the map with gardeners' names on there, and we got that approved by the city attorney's office. So when you paid for your permit, or your permit was emailed to you, included was a map with everybody's name and plot number on there. That is a very dynamic piece of paper, changes regularly and rapidly. So once we kind of get the Marine Park people in, we'll update it again, and kind of a reminder to try to send it out quarterly so that y'all can know who your neighbors are. I haven't been great about making sure that I have a site rep at those orientations, simply because it's trying to get them in, and just with Marine Park coming through, there's really a lot going on that I've just been trying to focus on getting one in at a time. So I'll try to remember to be better about that. Marine Park update. So y'all probably saw that email. We're opening Marine Park on November 5th. It's been a long time coming. We've been talking about this since 2018. Commissioner Gomez is on the call tonight, and he was very instrumental in not only kind of helping find that place, but staying with it and making sure that it stayed on City Council's radar and stayed in the budget. So we're very happy to see that kind of coming to light. Still got some work today. We have a work day Thursday, this coming Thursday, from 5 to 7 p.m. If anybody wants to come, you're welcome to do so. Otherwise, if you are able to attend the grand opening, please RSVP, and we'll be maybe looking for some volunteers. So just keep an eye out for those. But we're real excited about getting that started. And then lastly, for my staff updates, just about maintenance issues. I will be trenching a line over at Main Street. So it looks like next Wednesday, water is going to be off for a little bit as we install a new hose bib and replace one that has been leaking. The city is going to be doing kind of a comprehensive maintenance review of all their parks and gardens as capital improvement projects. And I've asked them to kind of go and walk in the community gardens as well, so we can look at potential spots that could get some work. Irrigation at Main Street being one, just kind of realigning some of the walkways at Park Drive North would be another. So just those are some things for me. And as we get, just one last thing, as we do get these new gardeners kind of filled in at Main Street, I know we've talked about changing that lock combination down there. We will get on that probably beginning mid-November when we get everybody assigned. Okay, that's my report.
Are there any questions? Okay. Cordula, did you have your hand raised? Okay, thank you.
I have
moving
a
right-
quick question.
I apologize. Who is that?
That's me, Alicia.
Oh, Alicia, I'm sorry. I didn't see that. Go for it.
That's okay. What is happening Saturday from 5 to, or Thursday from 5 to 7?
Thursday, 5 to 7, we are having a volunteer work day at the Marine Park Community Garden.
Oh, that's the new one.
That is the new one. So we have a group of 45 individuals who have already expressed the desire to kind of participate. So we had one last Friday, and there were 10, 12. So we're going to have a few more, have some pizza, and kind of talk about the schedule for the grand opening. So if you want to come and help and see the new garden, you're welcome to.
I might stop by. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Alicia. Moving right along. Well, we have a new, Nancy Gibran. Did I say that correctly?
No, but that's okay. So my question, Jambroni, my question is,
Jambroni.
where's the new garden, Marine Park? Where is it?
The new gardeners at Marine Park, if you got the email that I sent about the grand opening, it has the address on there. Marine Park is the park that is just north of Pinmar Golf Course,
Oh,
Right.
okay.
right? So
Yeah.
if you imagine going down by Bob's and taking that hill down there, you turn right on Marine, there's that park there.
Oh,
Yeah.
At the far end of the park where the tennis courts are, there's another little section of just a strip of grass or
okay.
lawn that was there. And the garden is going to be in the back of that. So
Oh, okay.
come
Thank you.
check it out. It'll be a neat and different one.
Okay.
Okay. With that, I don't see any more hands. That's great. It was a lot of fun last Friday. So even if you can go by for 5 minutes here and there, you'll be intrigued. Moving right along, we have a new program, and this new program is our donation program. This is our harvest donation. Teague and Ishara's husband, Tim, have been working on this. So Ishara, are you giving us the update today? Or is it great? Please go ahead.
I can do that. No, all sorts of things talking to me on the computer. Anyway, thank you. So the harvest donation program, it's now going to start on in November, and it will be on November 10th, which is a Thursday. Our partner who we're going to be donating to is Community Corps, and there's a little shift at the beginning of things, and that's why people got an email today and we had to rechange it to the correct one. So we're starting on November 10th, then it'll be December 15th. We're hoping we could do consistently the third Thursday of each month. And just by sending out those emails, thank you, Teague, there's potentially 2 people who will help gather or prep stuff at Park Drive. And then there was also someone who saw it, I guess, in an email that was sent a few weeks ago that potentially will help Tim and I at Main Street. So what we'll be doing is, like, for Main Street and for the other gardens, if they have people wanting to help out, it'll be on a Thursday that we bring the food to whatever harvested food and flowers to Community Corps, but people will have a chance, like at Main Street, it'll be the communal area. And once I know that there are people who are going to be doing it at Park Drive, we'll figure out where we can have a bin put out so that people could leave their produce and harvested items, and then the volunteers at Park Drive in this case, or Tim and I at Main Street, will prep it. Let's say if it's Swiss chard, put it in little bunches so that it's easy to give out. And then we'll be bringing it over to Community Corps. I'll be working with Ramon, and the reason we particularly chose Community Corps, Ramon's been on our urban agriculture expansion committee, is very committed to having community gardens and the importance of this. And urban agriculture, and the phenomenally great organization in Santa Monica that serves low-income individuals and families. And so it'll be a wonderful way for us to begin partnering. We're going to start once a month, and then we'll see what happens, how much we collect, what other potential things we could do in the future. We're starting slowly so that we could see how things go. So that's, I think, my report. And if people have any questions or anything, I don't know if we have time for that, but if we do, I'm happy to answer them.
I see one hand. Renee, let's tackle your question first.
I'm the representative at Park South, and I just wondered, what's the
Renee.
time commitment approximately, you think, for every third Thursday of the month?
Okay, I think if someone, and we haven't done this yet, so it'll be new.
Okay.
But my gut is, if, let's say, a Park Drive, if there's one place, and Teague and I need to figure out where we would put the supplies, where there'll be a bucket or two to collect stuff, or people leaving it, it would be a couple of hours. I think, you know, prepping it, the hope is the gardeners also will wash off stuff and not leave everything gunky and lots of bugs in it and stuff like that. But we want it to look nice when we pass it on to the residents of Community Core. But my gut is it would be a couple of hours. Okay. Any other questions?
I'd love to give it a try, as the volunteer from our garden. I work a lot, but, I think, I could try to do that.
Great, and just so you know, Renee, actually what would be great is if you could email me, my email, and Tim's was in the email that Teague sent out, so I have your contact information. And there's also potentially 2 other people from Park Drive who connected to me. So it could be that also, depending, we'll get us together and figure out, it might be 1 or 2 people each time. And I'm so excited that some folks from Park Drive said yes, and it's not only us at Main Street gathering it, so I think it'll be great.
First of all, Renee, I apologize for missing the beat with you when we introduced you, but it's joyful to have you as our new site rep there at Park South. I have a question, Ishara, with respect to the notification. Are you expecting to work on us by noon on Thursday? Do you want us to leave everything by a certain time? I know
Yes.
that there were details in the email, but I just didn't know if you wanted to emphasize anything.
Yeah, thank you. We'll put out the bins with some water and all that on Wednesday afternoons, so it still could be fresh enough. I know when Suchi used to do it years ago, she would do it like a day before, and then we want it on Thursday by 9 a.m. Because what we want to do is then take whatever has been collected. Let's say Tim and I will do a Main Street, and there might be, I know one other person also indicated maybe helping us. There's also, if people are not able to get it, but tell us that I'm not available to harvest, but you have permission to go into plot number XYZ, we'll do that. We don't want that to be always encouraged, because Tim and I do not want to spend, let's say, going into 15 plots, figuring out what's harvestable. Hopefully people will sort of take that time to do it, but we do want it by 9 a.m. on the third Thursday, so we could get everything ready. I don't want to say packaged up, but bunched up, so we could then bring it over hopefully and then what we're planning to do is swing by Park Drive if we have, and it seems like we will, people who've done it there. And then if we get any volunteers at Euclid to collect anything, Tim and I will swing by there before we drop everything off at the Community Core site.
This is a wonderful program, everyone. This is something we have not done for a couple of years at least, and we had been really lively a few years ago, giving it to a women's shelter. And we really wanted to resuscitate that work and show that our community gardens are growing food for a lot more people than just our immediate families and friends. Finally, Ishara mentioned Community Core. The other reason we're delighted with Community Core is they have actual growing amenities there, but this solidifies that partnership with the community gardens and Community Core in a really wonderful way. So unless there are any more questions on that, we're going to move right along. Thank you very much, Ishara. Teague, you wanted to take us through the new website.
Well, what I wanted to do was introduce you to the new website. We've migrated from the smgov.net website to santamonica.gov. The transfer happened. There were something ridiculous, something like 15 to 20,000 pages in the old website, and so they've really tried to like streamline it a little bit. So what I would really like for everybody to do, and they don't have to do it obviously not today, but what I will probably do is send out the new link and a couple other things to everybody, and ask you all to just kind of like go onto the website and the Community Gardens website and play around with it and see if there are links that are missing or places you should be able to go. that'll kind of ease things up. I've already found like one of them. So anyway, just a quick like showing the way that this will be the main Santa Monica Community Garden website. There are up across the top all kinds of different services and various types of things. So for example, when I send it out, if you create a bookmark for this page, one of the things you can have on there are graffiti removal or streets and sidewalks. So if you are having an issue about maintenance, they really just ask you to fill out a 311 form quickly, and instead of like sending it to me, snap a picture, add the address, and they're generally pretty good about doing those things. There's a lot about getting around arts and cultures and things throughout here, businesses and all those things. I just encourage you to just kind of look through. It is a city government website, right? So there's a lot of things going on. One of the things we're not going to have anymore are like flyers on our websites, and it becomes an ADA issue when there's like a sight reader that it doesn't capture words or graphics that are in pictures. So just know that that'll be a little different. The Community Gardens website is my responsibility. It is not my strong suit, but I am trying my best right now. So down here kind of below, it talks about locations. So you can click on these little buttons and it will take you to various different things. For example, if you click on the Community Gardens Advisory Committee, it will take us in a second to the old page, because right now there is a difficulty in storing documents and stuff on the website. So currently it would take you to the old page, but so that's one thing that needs to be resolved. We'll go back to it a little bit. We can change these types of things around. So for example, when we click on public programs, it talks about what our programs are. And so this would be the place where we're going to add in breakfast in the gardens, the pancakes, the work days that we have at Ishihara Park. We will be adding in events that we'll have at Marine Park as well. So that's kind of that new site. We add in things like this. So for the Marine Park Community Garden info, we have it going to the Marine Park site. So some of the old websites and some of the new websites are still iffy. I think what I need to do on here is probably change that to be a RSVP for the open.
T, did you mean to share your screen on this?
Oh, have I not been sharing my screen?
Yeah, I apologize. I thought
Oh.
you.
Apologize.
That's okay.
Oh,
I put the website.
Now you can see it, right?
Yeah, I
Okay.
also put the website in the chat, everyone.
Yep. So again, sorry folks, across the top over here is where I was talking about all those little buttons that you can kind of click and go through and find. Under services, again, this is where that graffiti removal was, streets and sidewalks, tree trimming, street lights, all those kind of requests. That goes directly to really to Public Works Department, and then they disseminate it. There's a lot of 311 requests every day. I would say by 7 a.m. we've probably logged 200. So they do a pretty good job. Back down here, I was just talking about going to some of the old websites, like the Community Gardens Advisory Committee goes there. The Marine Park one goes there. Under our public programs, it talks about our open work days, our breakfast in the gardens, those types of things. Pictures are interchangeable. When someone wants to apply for a community garden plot, they go here, and then that takes us to talks about being patient, proof of residency, all these things. And then on here is another link that takes us to a website where we now apply online. Let me show you one more thing. What I realized also was that from that garden page, I don't link to the garden, so I gotta add those in. They've really encouraged us to be less wordy and these other things. So you'll notice that there are same pictures for some of these folks. Down here, there are related places. So we also can, take us to the Main Street Community Garden page, which just talks about Main Street in general. These would be kind of interesting places to, we have a little photo gallery that we can add in. Go over and see, although that's a picture of Park Drive. You go and you can kind of like root around. So anyway, it seems a little incomplete still, but we'll send out the link. And please, if you all would go on there and kind of look through and take notes of things that you think might be missing. So for example, on this, like we're missing a couple community garden website or pages, those types of things that I can easily adjust or make notes of, I'd appreciate it. So that's that. Give it a whirl when you get the links.
Any questions or comments? Teague, are you looking for us to give you feedback in the next couple of weeks? Are you, would that be most helpful?
I would say if you ever go on there and you find something out of line, let me know. So yeah, over the next couple of weeks, if you want to look through it, would be fantastic. But then kind of ongoing, I'll embed those links in with the newsletters and such. But, if you ever are looking through and you notice something's wrong, please let me know.
And then one more question about the page with our respective membership. Are we supposed to have contacts on that? Are we supposed to have our santamonica.gov emails? Is that moving ahead?
That is interesting. That's kind of gotten held up somewhere, and I meant to follow up with today to find out. We will be getting your Santa Monica Gov email addresses on there. I think for now it just has it coming to gardens@santamonicagov.net, and then we would for santamonica.gov, and then we'll just forward it over to you.
Okay, that's great. Well, thank you. It's been a long time since we've had a new website, and one that's really highlighting some really nice things about our gardens. We are moving right along this agenda. Cynthia, I do notice your hand. So your question or your comment?
Just hi to everyone. And I'm just wondering if we're talking about the website, if we could have some sort of engagement or competition with the gardeners where we could invite people to take pretty pictures of their gardens that could populate photo galleries, which might provide some interest for people visiting.
We do have a lot of photographs. We could work that into our media / committee. We might think about that in that regard. And we have talked about even doing photography in the gardens as a workshop that's up potentially. So that's quite a possibility. Did you have any thoughts about that?
No, anything we use online has to be approved by our Office of Communications. So
okay,
we can certainly send it out, and it's a good idea to ask. And I'll set some of the guidelines that they're looking for in approval. So they like action shots, they like blue sky in the background, those types of things. But certainly, I could use some new pictures.
Okay. So Teague and I wanted to touch on the next agenda items, which is a quick report on our ad hoc rules committee, and actually encouraging any one of you who's not already on it. It's part of our admin responsibilities, but we need to review our rules and our regulations at least every few years, and this is the year that we wanted to dive in again. In the past, those rules, I hope you all have had a good look at them recently, because we carefully went through them. Talia did a great job in enlisting understanding from every one of the gardeners over a long process, and we would really love to engage in that again. And what we want to do, particularly this upcoming year, is to consider some new some new opportunities for the gardeners. And one is we have encouraged in the past volunteer hours. We also know that that encouragement may not have been strong enough, and we really are looking towards, do we ever require them? So one of the discussions we're anticipating having is to examine that opportunity and maybe do a pilot in that regard as well. So anyone who's joining us on that committee would begin that conversation with us. And we, of course, as a whole general committee, will eventually discuss that further and then see what the pros and cons are, what types of volunteer hours we might consider seriously, and any time frame in unveiling those that we would do. We also, Teague, did you want to add in any other thoughts on that?
No, other than I think you were just asking for people that might be interested, right?
Right. So what we want to do is have this is not a standing subcommittee. This is an ad hoc subcommittee. We have an opportunity as site reps to call that. And we'd love to see, is there anyone here right now ready to volunteer? And we'll put those in the minutes, but we'll set up a preliminary meeting. I will be on that. Alan, I know that you as an admin committee member, do you mind joining us on the ad hoc rules? Okay, we see a thumbs up on that. Who else might, and this is not where only the site reps are eligible. Any one of us at this meeting, or any one of us in the gardens generally, or on the wait list, could join in these committees. We've had some wonderful volunteers. We don't expect this to be onerous. It'll probably be perhaps 2, at most 3 meetings before we present to this group as a whole what some possible recommendations could be for discourse. So if there's anyone interested, I see Alicia, you are very interested, or at least somewhat interested to participate. That's great. So myself, Alicia, and Alan. Is there anyone else who'd love to consider that? If you think about it, if it's in your schedule, we'll send out a doodle poll to see what's a good time for us to have a preliminary meeting, and we'll get that underway. In the past, just so you know, when we have gone through these serious considerations, we often sit down in the actual gardens and give the gardeners a chance to come by, when we're there, talk about any of the changes we have. Talia did a wonderful job in modeling that, and I think it's a wonderful idea for us to continue. All right, so we'll look to, it's the end of October almost, so we won't have a meeting on that until probably early, right after the election, perhaps in November, but we'll get some ideas out initially just to frame the questions that we're looking at. Excellent. From there, we are excited. This is very exciting. We have had discussions with the LA Compost, and hope to have the community gardens in Santa Monica have a special role in the ways that we address recycling of organic materials. And I know that Teague, you sat down with Nat. Nat is not at the meeting today. Talia, I know you were at the meeting in the past. So do you want to update us on the proposal that LA Compost has brought to us?
I'll be.
Yeah, you should probably do it.
Yeah, I can be brief. So as you all know, there's a diversion requirement to divert your organic waste. And we get I've always had a lot of calls about people wanting to drop off their kitchen scraps and those types of things. And so there's a group called LA Compost, a guy named Michael Martinez, who went through the Master Gardener training with me, started a nonprofit where they build community composting systems, and not just the hardware that goes in there, but the community that's behind the system as well. So they typically build 3-bin systems, put them in community gardens. Some are just like outside in like dog runs where there are people in LA that want to do it. And then up to somewhere around 50 like community members join or agree to participate. And doing so, they come and do some composting. They bring their kitchen scraps and then turn it. And so the idea would be that with LA Compost coming in, they would be able to build those systems and then kind of help get people to sign up and provide that education. The goal would be to have one of those at Main Street, one of those at Park Drive South, probably. We already kind of operate that out of Ishihara Park Learning Garden, but we would also have one over at Memorial Park and some others. So just the contract is waiting review from our own administration, but just a heads up that will probably be coming to a garden that you're involved in. And if you'd like to participate, if you're not already using your kitchen scraps in your own compost and want to help with that, we will certainly be looking for some additional volunteers at the gardens. Tali, you have anything else you want to add?
No, I think you covered it.
I put in the chat the LA Compost website, if anyone wanted to take a look at that. It's a really extensive opportunity, and they've been eager to work with us in Santa Monica. Go ahead, Talia.
Yeah, I do want to add something. So it's really exciting because they have community compost locations all over the city of Los Angeles. So people can go and either take compost or donate compost. So it's a really great way to engage with the greater community.
Cynthia.
I would like to pre-volunteer for any work that is done on this at Park Drive. I've been waiting and advocating for this for years. So this is a great news.
Super, great. Thanks, Cynthia.
And Teague, I don't know if you wanted to mention as a preliminary, I know that some people have been asking you where they might drop off scraps, and I know that you're connecting Randy and me with some people. Do you want to say anything about that, where if any of us in the gardens are already composting, should we be reaching out to you for families who might drop off their things? Did you want to say anything on that now?
I suppose you certainly creating a list of composters at the sites wouldn't be a bad comprehensive list for us to have. So I think let's start there.
Okay, that sounds great. So that means that we're going to put out a survey question to all of our gardeners to find out who is already composting at their sites. Just as an example, my partner Randy Ziegler and myself, we bring in, I think there's 3 or 4 families right now that are bringing some food to us. And thank you, gardeners on our path, who have also said that they would share. And that's one of the internal ways that we wanted to really sweeten the composting operation. All right. Any other questions about composting? Fine. Moving into our next discussion item, one of our gardeners, Lisa Olson, put on the table for us the need to begin discussing whether it's appropriate for us to have cinder blocks in the community gardens. Teague, did you want to frame this? And I'm not sure if you wanted to have Lisa say something at this point with us. And Lisa, if so, we're going to ask you to be concise, but just make point. We're not taking action tonight. This is getting it on the table and for us to know what the question is. So let's start. Teague, you want to frame this for us?
I think, Lisa, Lisa, if you're comfortable with it, I'd like for you to go ahead and frame it. Is that okay?
Yes.
Fantastic. Go ahead.
You hear me? Okay.
Absolutely.
Can you see this? I'm sorry, I would have done better if I knew I was going to show something. Can that?
Step it back a little bit. Okay, there, right there. Good.
You see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, some people moved in next to me, and this is my first Zoom meeting. If I do something wrong, I apologize. Some people moved in next to me and they set up these cinder blocks, and I had no ideas till I started researching about them. And I sent some of my research to Teague. Maybe he will email it to those people here, and I'll try and be concise. My garden is absolutely everything to me. My doctor recommends my gardening for my health, and it is absolutely everything. I'm there often, and I was looking on Home Depot's website at the cinder blocks, concrete blocks, and Home Depot is saying they're not recommended for a raised bed garden. These are construction blocks. They leach chemicals when they're wet. If you look at the picture, you can kind of see where they leaching through here. So it's rained twice. I am very concerned about my food being contaminated with these blocks. And they're really not meant to be an organic garden. Home Depot does say you could use sealant and polymer paint to block the inside, but that's really inconsistent with organic gardening. They can be made with materials like fly ash, which is a green building material. LEED certification uses fly ash, but this is where you're having food. And the cinder blocks can leach calcium oxide, aluminum oxide, magnesium oxide in the soil, arsenic, high pH levels. They mess with the soil. And it's upsetting because the garden these people moved in was somebody's garden for 30 years that gardened organically. So there's two things, my garden getting contaminated and that one. And although the rules and regulations for Santa Monica Community Gardens do not ban specifically cinder blocks, I suggest the rules are outdated and do not take into account the concerns of our city and state on toxic garden materials in use at community plots. I believe my concern is not unique and that other gardeners would join me in my concern. And I'm very concerned about my soil contaminated. I don't want to go and read you all the examples I found, but it's quite shocking when water goes through them, what leaches out. So thank you for listening to me. I hope it was short enough. Some people in this meeting, I ask you to say something. You've seen those blocks. It also has the look. I know we're supposed to have our gardens attractive. It looks like almost like a bunker. People keep saying that to me, but I'm just trying to do my best. The current gardeners don't seem to have any idea about it. And thank you again very much. Yeah, if anybody can add to my concerns, some of you know about it.
First of all, we're really appreciative that you brought this, as any of us can bring to Teague or myself or any site rep an agenda item. So let's tackle some questions right now. We have a few more minutes, about 2 more minutes to do that. Cynthia.
Sorry, me again. But yeah, I would be, although it doesn't say specifically that cinder blocks are not allowed in the garden, organic gardening is required. We're not allowed to use pesticides. So that would seem to me as an extension. The cinder blocks would seem to me if this is something that is can be the data supports it, that that even though it's unbeknownst and this person obviously did not know that this is not within the guidelines and the spirit of the guidelines of the community gardens. I would be very concerned myself if there were cinder blocks that were immediately adjacent to me, particularly that many, one here and there to stand something up. I think I've probably pretty much had those in my garden once or twice to elevate something, but I would certainly, if and it's not adjacent to anyone else's garden, and I would certainly move them if I was asked. So for what it's worth, I would say that this does sort of fall within community guidelines, even though it's not called out specifically, since we're not supposed to use anything toxic in the gardens.
Okay, duly noted. I think, and Lisa did send a number of 2 or 3 links, and Lisa, we will share those with everyone so that people can indeed delve into it. And it will raise, this is a good example of why that ad hoc regulation, rules and regulation gathering meeting will be important, because we don't specify in some of our rules all the materials that could cause problems. I mean, we all live in a society where there's a lot of building materials that cause challenges. So we're going to have to balance, but it is a really fair question for us to consider what its issue. Nancy and then Kristen.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's concerning. I don't want anything to contaminate my garden. We are across from the cement blocks. Yeah,
it should be taken under consideration.
It should be taken under consideration. I think it's a serious issue.
That's very helpful to know that you're over there as well. and,
Yeah.
and can see the situation. Kristen and then Alicia.
I'm very concerned about the toxins leaching into the soil. That does really upset me. And I think it should be put in the rules that the cinder blocks should not be allowed in the gardens. Thank you.
Alicia?
Hi, I was just going to say that I think it is a good thing to address at the ad hoc rules. And I was wondering, I don't know all of the current rules. What are do we know what the current rules are on limits on structures in the gardens?
They are called out in our respective rules and regulations. We have a limitation of built structures that can't be exceeding 6 feet, I believe, off the ground. And so I'm not sure about certain widths. That's been really much seating areas. We did factor in a couple of structures of a kind that had been there for a very long time from
Right.
other gardeners. But yes, going forward, Teague's been really good about addressing limitations of that kind. So we really encourage basically no structures unless it's just a seating area where people can enjoy their garden in a different way. Teague, did you want to add anything on that before we go over to Leslie? Okay.
I was just going to say,
I will say there are, that's not the only garden that has blocks in it. And so I'm doing inspections tomorrow. I'll try to make a note of where they are, because we're talking we're talking cinder blocks, so there's cinder blocks, there's concrete blocks, and we would because we don't know where they're originating from, we would have to ban them all. So and that would be new for a lot of people. So that's all I'll say. But I certainly think that it's worth investigating and looking into, and maybe even getting Carl from our OSC. He's a little bit more in tune with green purchasing and stuff like that to look at it. So.
Well, I think it does fit into the ad hoc rules and regulation group that we're going to have in the first place. And so we would run that through and then bring a recommendation to this committee. But I suspect that may also kickstart some conversation about other materials that we're going to have to look seriously at. I wanted to wrap this up, but we have Lisa and Leslie.
Am I on? When the blocks first got moved over there, I reached out to Teague and I reached out to the people and I said, please, these blocks are going to leach into my garden. I have spent 5 years amending the garden. I'm in thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours. And this is like an emergency situation for me. I do not know what to do. And the other thing is those gardens they're building in Marine Park, are they using cinder block? What are they using for why aren't they using cinder block? Because they know.
Well, we don't want to discuss that right now.
Okay,
Because
I'm just saying that I don't know what to do. I'm in a crisis situation with this. I just want you to hear me so you get it. Thank you.
And we will not delay on this particular
Thank
part
you.
of that conversation within.
Nobody else has the blocks in the garden but these people in ours. Thank you.
Well, and with Teague inspecting tomorrow, that will help elucidate where there might be anything else of a kind. But I appreciate you bringing it here at this point. Leslie, did you want to close us out on a comment?
I agree with Teague that there's cinder blocks and there's concrete blocks. And the quick way to tell the difference between the two is that the cinder block is very heavy. The concrete block is very heavy. And the cinder block, which is the toxic one, is very light. They're much lighter than the concrete block. Maybe you can buy a cinder block and have a concrete block and you can compare the weights. I don't know. It was just a thought.
Okay, we'll take that up in an advisement, and I hear the need for us to attend to this. So we'll follow up this week, Lisa, with Teague and myself and Nat, who's our vice chair, will begin delving into this and we'll bring it to the ad hoc group right away. That can be taken separately from the other big questions that we're addressing. All right, we are right on schedule. I appreciate everybody's thoughtfulness and focusedness there. For those of us who have been on the committee, this Community Gardens Advisory Committee, we have set up over the years a number of standing subcommittees, and we have 5 right now. We've already alluded to one, the administration, but we have, besides that we're going to hear from each of the main people involved, a little report. So we have events, the media, education, urban regenerative, urban agriculture, expansion, and as I said already, administration. So with our events, Talia, are you leading this one with Ishara? So would you give us an update that we need to know?
So we've had several well-attended workshops at Main Street, about 30 people average per event. The past few have been the seed saving and launch of the West Side Seed Library. Shirley Vernali did that with me. We did Birds in the Garden with Julie Hansen from Wild Birds Unlimited. Then we did one on native plants. And at the very last minute, Master Gardener Florence Nishida reached out to my request to the universe for someone to come do it. It was like 2 days before. So, and it went really well. She was really great. So the upcoming for Main Street, we have in November, the mycology with James Oliver again. In December, small space container gardening, also with 2 master gardeners, Julie Storned and Elizabeth Ostrom. And we're going to start planning next week for 2023. And then we can reach out to gardeners to see where they can volunteer to do events or volunteer to help add events. So once we get the rough idea of what's going on, we can ask for volunteers.
But we don't only have events at Main Street. What about?
No, we have, I'm taking a breath. Coming up on for November for Ishihara is Friendsgiving. And then I didn't write down December. So either Leslie or Teague will have to tell me what we have planned for December on the 3rd Saturday.
Well, we have a big event this Saturday.
And I know I'm getting there. So those are the regular events. This Saturday from 11 to about 4, we'll be down at Main Street for the Rocktober Fest. And it's kind of similar to what they've done for the Solstice Party or Open Streets. A whole section of Main Street is going to be closed, and we'll have the garden gates open with garden bingo and giving away some seeds. And if we have the time, giving away some seed bursts for the kids. So we also need some volunteers for Saturday. If anyone wants to be there for a couple hours at a time, Ishara and I will be there, and Tim, Ishara's husband too. So Chris. So yeah, and anybody who just wants to be in their garden, gardening and engaging with people walking through, we'll have the gates open. So
this is a new event for us.
Yes.
And this is a late afternoon event, late morning and afternoon. So feel free to come by, even if you can't volunteer for more than 15 minutes, come by because you'll get a vibe for what it means to see how many people join us. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
Open streets are fun. They're really fun. Yeah. Ishara, am I forgetting anything?
No, Teague sent out a request for volunteers for the Saturday event, so you could just sign up for that. But also what Chris said, even if you're just in your garden for a short time, this way the public will be able to chat with people, which they love to do. And it serves really an important role where we're really like ambassadors for Santa Monica and for the community when people come by. We're going to be closing the garden supposedly at about 4. The event actually continues to, I think, 9 or 10 o'clock at night, but we decided that's not the group that will be coming into the gardens.
Yes.
And just so everyone knows, these events Ishara and Talia are leading they have for a while now, but anyone can be on that committee. Anyone can offer their own insight or whatever they would love to see happening in the gardens. Susan, did you want to add anything? I see you highlighted.
And then also
No.
Teague announced Marine Park opening, right?
And the
Earlier.
Marine Park opening, go ahead.
On
Marine
the
Park
5th.
opening on November
that's
5th.
been-
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. A second subcommittee we have is the media communication. In the past, we focused that predominantly on writings that we've done for the Santa Monica Daily Press. Honestly, we have sort of been in a hiatus on that. We really we want to be able to resuscitate that. It's actually been a set of columns that we've written as gardeners or friends of the gardeners, and it's been an opportunity to delve into specific kinds of plants, the monarchs, how you use upcycled materials, recipes, anything you can imagine. So to your heart's content, we'd love to have you engaged, or any of, if it's not you literally, but you know of good writers who might want to even interview you as a gardener. And then we'll go back to the Daily Press and hopefully start that by November to continue our sharing what garden life and community garden life is like for everyone. Finally, I want to note on the media and communication, Ishara's done a great job in reaching out to the Argonaut. And Ishara, what are the other places that you have been reaching out to give us a little PR?
The Argonaut, Santa Monica Daily Press, all the neighborhood groups, because they all do e-newsletters, Culver City Community Gardens Group, LACGC, different places. We were promoting the second Saturday at Main Street and the third Saturday at Ishihara to try to bring people in. And actually, we have been getting people come who were not coming before. And so that's very exciting to be able to get the word out about what we're doing for the community, and in a way serving the community as we do all the other stuff we do. Thanks.
If you had not noticed, Teague put in the chat, the sign up for volunteers for the event on Saturday. And then that might actually even, yeah, that's a Saturday event. And also he added the sign up for volunteers on the November 5 Marine Park opening. So dive in or share those links with your friends or family. Third subcommittee we have is education. Susan has typically led with Teague in the past, but it may be Teague at this point. I know that Susan's been busy with some personal matters. Teague, did you want to go over any of the education beyond the Saturday events that might be upcoming, such as the Victory Garden class and such?
I don't have anything to add besides what Talia already put out there. We did not have a master gardener take on the Victory Garden class this fall, or fall. I couldn't do it because just Marine Park was coming online, but we'll pick it back up in spring. And I think we'll be adding additional events over at Marine Park as shortly, I'm expecting.
Do you want to give, for those of us who haven't been at one of the Victory Garden classes, can you just give a short overview of what those are? That's our eight classes, 6 classes?
The Victory Garden class, or I think they call them grow your own vegetable garden classes. They're a 4-week, 4 Saturdays in a row, and really is kind of gardening 101. So it's through the LA County Master Gardener Program. I picked up a bunch of their manuals the last time we did it, and so for all of the new gardeners that I'm doing orientation, that manual is something that they also get. So anyway, we've had a number of gardeners go through it and have it's proven to be great, to be honest with you.
Are those manuals are going to be set in our little community garden spaces? They may be nice little guidebooks to check out. All right, any questions on any of those 4 subcommittees? And we've already mentioned the administration subcommittee. And again, none of these are exclusive to just the site reps. There's any of these open to anyone on this, in this gathering, or on any other gardeners that we know, or non-gardeners who might want to participate in those.
I have a question, but in my hand, it didn't come up. Teague,
go ahead, Kaya.
Yeah, Teague, on those, on the Master Gardeners, on the classes, do they have classes specifically for, like, for me, I only grow in pots. You know, so that's the only thing I need. Do they have classes like that for just pot gardening? Well, pot gardening too, that would be nice.
We'll address one now and we'll address the other in a face-to-face setting. They do offer like container gardening classes. That's what you're talking about,
Yeah,
correct?
right, good.
And
okay.
certainly that is also something that we have tried to have before, but could put it on the list of reaching out to them and seeing if they'd be interested in hosting one for us.
Great.
Yeah. Our final and often our liveliest committee is what we call the Regenerative Urban Agriculture Expansion Subcommittee. We've been meeting now for, my goodness, about 5 years. And that's a subcommittee that started out small to answer the question of how do we get more community gardens? As we were pressed among ourselves, pressed by or encouraged by the Rexon Park, and thank you, Andrew, for being here. Commissioner Gomez is here, who has also led a subcommittee there to work on finding new gardens. But we have, in the last year, renamed that subcommittee because it isn't just about community gardens. It's really about urban agriculture, and urban agriculture has really taken off throughout the United States. In Santa Monica, we wanted to formally invite people to consider that the Santa Monica Community Gardens are one example of that. And where our program is involved, we wanted to embrace, not to control, not to supervise, but to embrace the opportunities of how to encourage more urban agriculture throughout the city, and in particular, identify sites that, yes, we could have new community gardens. And that's one of the ways that Marine Park came alive, because it was about 5, maybe 6 years ago, we identified that park as a potential, and it took us a while, but we do now see it coming to fruition. We have several other sites, including hopefully at the 19th Street site, that would be possibly a communal space. So again, this is a committee open to anyone on this at this meeting. We have the community corporation team, right? As Ishar mentioned, we have Ramon, who joins us regularly, and we have in the past had many youth join us, and they're helping us to advance one particular initiative in the city called the Urban Agricultural Incentive Zone. And details on that we can update you on. At this point, the Rexon Park Committee has had that, commission rather, has had that. And maybe Andrew can tell us tonight if it's had a chance to been recommended to the city council yet to be on their agenda sooner than later. So those are the 5 standing subcommittees we have. And any questions or comments about any of those? Talia, did your hand go up?
Did you want me to do my full update on what's been going on?
We will. I'm just going to finalize on our subcommittees.
On the urban ag though?
Why don't you weave that into the Santa Monica roots? Great. Okay, so Talia does lead the urban ag expansion, and she is also going to update us on the Santa Monica roots, which she also leads. So go for it.
So there's a lot of history. Thank you, Chris, for kind of getting most of it summarized. But if anybody has any questions about kind of where we started and how we got where we are, feel free to reach out to me. So we are going to put on hold the subcommittee that was working on identifying privately owned empty lots in Santa Monica, at least till the Santa Monica Roots MOU is finalized with the city. And that's still going through the approval process. So a really long story short, I met with Chris and Teague and Nat and kind of updated them on some work that I did for Sierra Club on the endorsement panel for city council candidates. And one of the tasks Sierra Club asked me to do was to put together some questions about food sovereignty and security as it relates to Santa Monica's Sustainable Rights Ordinance. So the candidates had a chance to answer those questions, and then we had interviews with them. And so it was kind of clear to me that we could do a lot more education around city leadership with what urban ag really means, what work we've done so far and where we need to go into the future to make it better for people to be able to grow food, to make it more accessible. So that'll be the focus going into next year. I also sat through LA Food Policy Council's UAIZ enrollment workshop. And the UAIZ is the Urban Ag Incentive Zone, where property owners get a tax rebate to use their land for growing food. And oftentimes it's somebody kind of renting the land for a certain number of years. That was really great because the city of Los Angeles had their sustainability staff walking everybody through, what you would fill out and how to move through the process. So it's been done in LA. They have 5 community gardens using the UAIZ, and they have metrics on increasing that number through 2030. So it was good to have somebody, in LA say, this is how the process moves through a city. So there's a lot of resources for us there. For Santa Monica Roots, going into 2023, we're going to focus on grant writing with the priority being refurbishment of the Main Street community space, and also focusing on the West Side Seed Exchange. We're going to continue, Shirley Vernali is going to help me with educating people on seed saving at our 2nd and 3rd Saturdays. And just being available to receive seeds and to give seeds. Shirley is going to work on reaching out to seed companies to get donations, and just the general messaging of what a seed exchange is, and how people can engage with that process. And maybe we can have the West Side Seed Exchange on one of the advisory committee meetings, just so we're talking about it. We need to get a clear message out to everybody that it's available. That's something we're working towards. So, and our next Roots meeting is December 6th.
Do you want to give a one-liner about what the heck the Roots are?
So a few years back, Santa Monica Roots came about as a Friends of the Garden, a way to support the community garden program. So what we're kind of doing is overlapping in some ways with events, public outreach, seed exchange, and urban ag, because there's a lot of good work to be done. And so the Roots Board kind of just also to raise money is another way to support the city program, to do some extra projects, buy seeds, refurbish the Main Street community space. Ishara, jump in. Ishara's on the board too. Is there anything I'm forgetting?
No, I mean, I think we don't even know all the projects, but
as things
Emily
come up.
said, we have lots of ideas and do want to raise money so that it could be used for different types of whether it's events, projects, getting more people knowledgeable, education, there's many types of opportunities.
And if anybody has any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll put my email in the chat.
And just so that everyone knows, this is an example of both the UAIZ and the Santa Monica Roots are 2 things that came out of this advisory committee, because we saw gaps in what was happening in the city and where we could identify new potential policies, or in the case of Roots, we don't have a standing budget as a line item in the city's budget for the gardens. So what we wanted to do is start to cultivate new dollars in that regard. And finally, on the UAIZ in particular, it's an opportunity for us to engage many, many more people in the community who can imagine and different kinds of uses of lots that, and when it comes to housing, where we can, we would integrate. We would integrate community gardens with housing. And that's one of the things we're talking with Community Corporation about. So with that, Andrew, Commissioner Gomez, we would love you to give us a little update, and then I'll follow about the Rexon Park, and I'll follow with the Sustainability Commission.
Hi, good evening. One question, Chris, I had my hand up earlier. If
I apologize, I didn't see you.
I know that there's going to be an opportunity for volunteers to go to the Marine Park the new garden to help out. And the sound was really muffled. I couldn't tell what dates and times were those?
So Teague put in the chat, just so you know, the RSVP for the Marine Park. It's this Thursday, I believe he said.
No.
at 5
I put the RSVP in.
Oh, for the opening. I
For the
apologize.
opening, yeah.
Thank you.
If you want to come down and volunteer this Thursday from 5 to 7, we will be down there.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much this Thursday. I couldn't, I have to say this. The 5 years that I've been on the Recreation and Parks Commission, now as the vice chair, there isn't something that I've been or could be more proud of than to see the community gardens at Marine Park come to fruition. That is hands down my proudest moment, and the whole reason I got on the commission was to do things like this, and especially to advocate on behalf of the community garden program, and all that you wonderful folks do with that. Other than that, I've RSVP'd to go to the event. I'm looking forward to it. You continue to have a voice on the commission, and myself as it relates to community gardens. There is an agenda item this Thursday as it relates to community gardens. It isn't something that I put on the agenda, but as the liaison, I was asked to put some information together, some numbers together, and this is specifically related to Marine Park. So, other than that, I look forward to seeing you guys at the opening on November 5th at Marine Park.
Andrew, do you want to let us know the time for the Rexon Park Commission meeting and the way to
That's
attend
going
it?
to be this Thursday, October 20th at 7 p.m.
And those are still on Zoom or on Blue Jeans,
Yes,
correct?
that is still on Blue Jeans, and actually one of the other agenda items that we're going to be having on the Rec and Parks Commission is to return to meeting in the council chambers, which we have the green light to do. It just has to be voted on unanimously by the entire commission. So if one commissioner says they don't feel comfortable meeting collectively in the council chambers, we will have to stay on Zoom.
Thank you. And following that, another commission that we have a liaison for, and it happens to be myself, although I know Cordula is looking forward to coming along and learning more about the Sustainability Commission. This was formerly the Task Force on the Environment. It's now the Sustainability and Environmental Justice Commission. That meets every third Monday. And that is, we as the advisory committee here, we sort of report to the Rexon Park, and we, to a extent, we also inform the Sustainability Commission, because we are, as Community Gardens, part of the Office of Sustainability and Environment. So they want to stay on top of what is going on. But we've also always seen ourselves as part of the sustainability in the city, and they have definitely wanted us to be regarded as such. So with that, if any of you would like to attend those meetings, just make sure that I'm happy to share with you how to get updates on that regularly. And they're always looking for really informed people to be able to contribute to their discussions. That is a very influential commission that advises the city on all things sustainability, and these days on climate as well, as we see our gardens are significant in that regard. So we are wonderfully on schedule in a way that we don't often experience. At this point, we have an opportunity to hear from any public member at this meeting on any unagendized item. So is there anyone here who wanted to make a public comment? Well, I'll take that as everything's hunky-dory or everything's just quiet at this point. I can't tell you how wonderful it is to see, even at this late hour, 19 people still with us and enjoying the opportunity to learn more. These meetings over many years, I will be honest with you, have been small at times, and they've been growing a lot, and we are tremendously happy about that. So we are really looking forward to studiously following up as we have several action items, including, yes, Lisa, the question on the table about the cinder blocks as soon as we can handle that. You know, I can't guarantee it'll be done in a few days, but certainly it'll be done as expeditiously as we can. With that, I want to thank everybody for their concision. Teague, do you have any remarks, any comments before we sign off, before we move to adjourn?
No, other than thank you all. Have a great growing season.
Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Emotion.
Okay, and I'll second that. So all in favor? Good night. Okay, it's 7:53 and we will adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everyone. Good
Thank
night.
Bye.
See you in the garden.